Broadcasting from Ireland, featuring interviews with some of the biggest names in magic. Welcome to the Deceive Reality Podcast with your hosts, David Peace and Steve Spade.
We're back. Hey everyone, we did 2 weeks in a row. Who could have seen that coming?
What's wrong with us? Do you know why? Because it's January.
Yeah. There's no gigs in January.
There is. There's fucking loads.
Yeah. Just not for me.
Not for you.
But yeah, so we're back again. So this time we're going to go through a few things. At the end, we'll talk as well about advice for approaching tables as we have in the thumbnail and stuff like that. But first of all, we'll start off with any crack, like any news around the magic industry. So one thing I just learned a while ago is that Lloyd Barnes has left Murphy's Magic, which they announced on their Magic podcast. So that's kind of a big shift, going out independent creation, being able to sell his own stuff and be his own boss. So first of all, best of luck with it. I'd say it'd be brilliant. But yeah, like as he was saying himself, he's kind of like a one-man shop. He can do the editing, he can do the filming, he can do the creating. Like he can do it himself.
I suppose he's learned so much from Murphy's over the years. Even when we were talking to him in Blackpool last time, like he's so much knowledge, and like you said, it's not just like one thing. He can do the whole thing.
Yeah, and it's the advice he always gives to people, like, don't just be into magic, be into other things, then you can become more valuable to places like that. So yeah, it's really good, and watch out for it. And the Vanishing Elephant did well, so that's gonna guide him through the rest of the year. So yeah, we just thought we'd touch that and wish him best of luck going forward in his adventure.
Definitely, yeah, 100%. Good luck, man.
Yeah, that's it. The other thing we thought we'd go through in the like news is the lineups for some of the shows at Blackpool have been announced on Facebook.
Mm-hmm.
So we're not going to go through all the acts and everyone, but we just picked out a few that like we're more familiar with or that we're excited to see ourselves. So the first one I was bringing up is in the International Close-Up show or competition with Paul Zenon is hosting it, which like we always thought about how great his like kids magic book, the Street Magic book was. I think that book, that book helped both of us get across the line.
Yeah, I was actually talking to him last week. He's excited about hosting that. He said he can't wait, so should be fun.
Yeah, because like the two, like Paul Gertner is in that, so like that's like a legend of magic. But someone who I think would be really interesting to see as well is Tobias Dostal, because like you see these creations that are out there and they're so like unique and so different. I'd be interested to see like just a full performance from him rather than a lot of people have only really seen him perform
clips.
And there was releases and maybe if he's lectured for you and that sort of stuff. So I think like that would be wild.
Yeah, that'd be unreal. Yeah, his creativity is off the chart. I think he's one of those real, everything inspires him kind of thing. I spoke to him very briefly in the Ruskin last year. But yeah, the stuff that he just thinks is crazy. Even that bottle up one recently, it's an amazing.
Yeah, you picked that up actually. You've been messing around because it's that sort of bar magic that like suits your style a lot.
Cool. Yeah, it's really, really cool effect. I haven't even done it that much, but anytime I've kind of dabbled with it, it's getting crazy reactions. So yeah, soon, definitely.
Yeah, because I think that sort of thing. Sometimes when you see some person doing the releasing, and obviously like the banishing the phone trick, and that's insane. So it's like it's you see that.
I saw Joel Myers doing that on Masters of Illusion, and he killed with it. It looked so good. And I think Wes did it in a funny promo thing there recently for one of his shows as well. So yeah, I mean it's definitely usable stuff. It's brilliant.
Yeah, like between that and the liquid stuff that he does, I really think it's going to be interesting to see like how he actually like routines different effects together and like a proper show. I think that'd be really interesting. Yeah. I think there's other people on there as well, so it'd be great to see everyone. But I just thought those two names, especially Tobias Dostal and that sort of, he's so unique a performer. I think that'd be really interesting to see.
Yeah, that'll be a good turnout right there.
And Paul Zenon hosting as well would be great. And we found out when we went to see Michael O'Brien in there last year, it can be tough to get in. So,
crazy. Get there early if you want to see that. Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, 100%. And then the one then for the Friday Gala show, Tape Faces on that one.
Oh, cool.
So like people might have seen him on America's Got Talent and that sort of stuff.
Again, to see like a full show. It was like seeing like Dan Sparry's full show last year, Yeah. You always see clips of him like AGT and all that jazz, but that you see a full production, it was nice,
Yeah, 100%. And I think as well, if we see him around Blackpool and he doesn't have tape on his face the entire time, I will be disappointed.
Yeah,
Like,
100%. Yeah,
you can't
I'm
break
gonna
the
bring I'm gonna bring
tape.
an extra roll for him just in case he needs it.
Yeah. If anyone sees him just run off and just like he'd be on the street, people think he's been kidnapped or something. It's just
Yeah,
like doing a tape off his face constantly.
yeah. No, that'll be good. That'll be interesting to see here, sure.
Yeah, I think that'd be really good. There's a bunch of people on that night as well, but it's also one of the highlights for me every year is Max Fullman as the host who does
No,
ventriloquism.
Max is brilliant.
Yeah, he's so funny. I was like, I remember I saw him a couple of years ago, and like I was shocked at how funny and like
Yeah.
ventriloquism really isn't my thing, but I'd
And
watch
the
him
way he's
forever.
like kind of like old school, kind of vaudeville kind of performer, he just has that feel like that you could have seen that act 100 years ago and it would still play. You know, like,
Yeah,
it's
and he can
brilliant.
bring in some modern humor. And I think one thing that he does really well that sometimes MCs can struggle with at Blackpool is tailoring it to magicians and magicians' humor without being like cheesy or like too niche. That like
Yeah.
if you don't know this specific drama on the specific form, you don't know what's going on. Well, his stuff,
Mm.
like when he had the dipping duck doing ventriloquist with
Yeah.
that,
That was
like
great.
those sort of things are just everyone, even if you've never seen that prop before, you can figure it out.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it was really, really clever.
Yeah, I think he's one of those like ones that definitely be the highlight for me on the Friday of the show. I'm like, screw the magic, I just want to see some more ventriloquism. And
Yeah.
Rick Thomas is sort of taking off them over the Mega Talk from because Chris
Cool.
Angel can't make it this year. So like
Yeah.
I'm not a guy with years of experience, so I'm sure there'll be some like good bits of information in there and that sort of stuff. I'd be curious to see who's like emceeing it with him.
Yeah, true. Because the Matt King one was really interesting.
Yeah. There's a lot of stories in that and that sort of stuff. So I think it'll be very interesting to see what sort of stuff he goes through and that for everyone, because I think everyone was curious about what the Mega Talk was going to be.
Yeah, it's true. I would imagine it's going to be like career highlights, and then you'll do a Q&A kind of a thing, you know.
Yeah, I'm sure there'll be some advice, especially in like the illusions style of things for people, because like such a niche in and of itself.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then it's going to be the one competition on the Saturday. So I think the first year when I saw the one, all the acts were silent to music.
Yeah.
And like that can be great seeing an act to music, but when every act after itself was silent to music, I think it was kind of a bit, you need a bit of variety in there. And I think last year it was a lot better where there was some speaking and like a bit of variety in the acts that way.
Yeah, the guy who won that was an act, was a brilliant act, the kind of split personality act.
Yeah, I think he's doing some stuff this year as well and stuff. So like, he was brilliant. So I'd be very curious to see, like, because the level of competition, you'd always be like, "Oh, it's a big prize. Will I give it a go?" And then you watch it, and you're like, "Fuck no."
You see, I think it's like competition magicians just focus on competition. You know, I know they probably still perform and do shows and stuff, but they put so much time into it's like an athlete going into the Olympics. It's the same kind of, you know, discipline, like.
And you see that as well. Like that's one of the reasons why so many acts are silent, is because they can do it anywhere in the world.
Yeah.
They don't have to worry about the language barrier, and that's why a lot of competition acts do magic to music. Well, I just think like from a show point of view, it is nice to have a bit of variety in there, and the MC always can kind of mix it up that way as well. Like, if you were to do a competition act, what would you do?
I wouldn't do a silent act. There's no way.
Yeah, you could barely stay silent on stage for like 30 seconds.
Yeah, I can't say silent. What would I do? I do like anything that does really well is always like really audience participation driven stuff, you know, where you can like draw them in. But I think some very clever kind of like Rene Levant, you know, that kind of style, very classical, sitting at a table. I think that kind of stuff would play. Like that was kind of your man's routine, but he had the comedy to it and everything. But I think that would play well, especially to magicians and the judges. You know, if you're thinking about actually winning it, I think you need to kind of think Slidini, you know.
Because I think I always like the sort of performances where it's like the magic is happening and the magician can't control it, and actually he's trying to stop the magic. Like if you like Mario Lopez's the salt pour, and it just keeps going, and it is always that one with the guy with the cup and the red ball, and like it's just always going. That goes viral every couple of years.
The Spanish magician, I think he was Spanish. I'm pretty sure he was on Penn and Teller, and he had a routine where no matter what way he cut the cards, the Queen of Spades just kept appearing, and he kept throwing her out of the pack, and she'd just reappear back and face up, and then stuck to his far. You name it, like it was just everywhere. And it was just kind of a idea that he was haunted by her, which is pretty clever. Like, but you could tell even from his act, it didn't fool Penn and Teller because they kind of knew the sleight of hand involved or whatever. But the way he kind of orchestrated the whole thing, it was very competition driven. You know, kind of way.
Yeah, because I think it's that situation where like I'd love to see like a mentalism act where you can't help but predict what's going to happen, or you can't help but read someone's mind. And it's like you're trying not to make a prediction right, and the prediction's always right. So you're trying not to read someone's mind, but you always know what they're thinking. I think that could be a really interesting sort of like twist on it for someone who wants to do like a mentalism-y competition act.
Yeah, it's always good because it's such a variety. It's interesting.
Yeah. So looking forward to that, definitely for sure. And then on the Sunday night, there's Matt Edwards, who a lot of people might have seen on YouTube and TV and that sort of stuff as well. And for me, one of the things I'm really excited to see is Mind to Mind.
Oh,
it's
yeah.
Like,
yeah,
they're like world champion level coding acts.
Yeah.
So it's like that sort of thing. I think it'd be really interesting to see how it plays.
Yeah.
I always think when watching them, I'm like, I'm gonna spot code words when like you see a two-person telepathy act. You're like, they're saying the same fucking thing.
Yeah. No, I don't think so. I'd be curious just to kind of sit down and enjoy that show, you know, kind of way, instead of trying to figure it out, because it's just like you said, it's world class.
Yeah. Being able to switch off your brain and that sort of stuff is like what you want to be able to like get through. Because that's one of my favorite bits of like Blackpool is like seeing the standard of performance, and like I always feel like so inspired after seeing those shows. Like, I need to do my show, that, and then I look at my budget. I'm like, okay, so the lighting's gone, the smoke machine's gone, this is gone.
You can always adapt and do your show whatever way you want to do your show. You know what I mean? So it is nice to see. Like, you don't have to go to see even magic shows. You go to see like a comedian and see how that stage is set, or a play or an opera or whatever you're into outside of magic, and it'll always inspire you if you're a stage performer. Especially if we were talking about this before, but if you're more of like an artist magician instead of just a guy who shows up to parties, you know what I mean? Does a drastic difference.
Because I think it's that sort of situation as well, where you're looking at it going, like, you have that situation, you're watching it, and you mightn't be able to do the tricks they're doing, you mightn't be able to have the staging that they have, but you can watch their sort of like just stage presence. Like, how do they enter the stage to immediately grab the people's attention?
Yeah,
because we've all seen a situation where like a magician walks out on stage at a corporate event or a party, and everyone's still chatting, and they're like, "Hi, hello." And Joe's like, there's little things that you can pick up from that by watching these like people who are top of their game to understand what you can do to like get that across.
Yeah, no, definitely. I think seeing people's kind of delivery and how they kind of carry themselves on stage is always nice to see, especially in different styles of magic.
Yeah, because you can learn more sometimes from watching like a good gala show than you can from lectures. So that's why it's interesting. There was actually discussion, not just a copy, Craig and Lloyd's podcast, but they were talking about recently a session about like how sometimes you can struggle to learn in a lecture because it's like trick, and it's like 12 phases, and you're trying to take notes, and you read your notes afterwards, you're like, what the fuck was I writing? So it's like it can be that sort of thing. Sometimes you can just learn stuff by observing more like presentation.
Yeah, we had that problem with whose lecture was it? And it was really, really good, and we were like, I don't remember any of it, but it was amazing.
There was a few of them. There was
Mark Paul one was really good. Remember, we were like, what the fuck was that move? And we couldn't remember.
We eventually did remember that. I found notes, and I was able to decode what my brain thought was a good. I was like, I wrote the note being like, this is the most obvious thing. I'm never going to forget that.
I'm bringing my fucking meta glasses this year. I'm just filming the whole fucking thing.
Like, you'd be kicked out for recording. It's like, why is Steve in a dark room wearing sunglasses? No reason. He's hungover.
He's hungover, leave it alone.
You will be hungover as well, so it's the perfect cover.
Yeah, totally cover. Yeah. So,
So it's getting close now. So it's like this, like a month from now, it's all going to be taking place. It's going to be nearly over. So it's getting there for another year, and we'll all be broke again after it. So.
Yeah, it'll be fun though. You'll be inspired. Hopefully, people will come back with a bit of energy and not do the same tricks constantly.
Yeah, we'll talk more about it as people start the show. They'll be more hype about what tricks are being released, or like as the timetable of lectures come out, we can talk a bit more about that sort of stuff and those sort of things.
Sure.
But now we can move on to sort of like with the rough and smooth sort of stuff we're talking about. A lot of times when you be talking to people who just got into Magic or trying to get more performance time, the question that comes up a lot is like how you approach a group, because that is one of the most terrifying things when you're a new performer, is that like whether it be a table or a drinks reception, and we can kind of split it into two. And if we start with like the drinks reception situation, where there are groups of people, and a lot of times it's closed off circles, and you're there and you have to interrupt them first, and then also get them to listen to you and engage. What would like your advice for that, and do you have any techniques that you use?
I think there's nothing worse than you've seen it. You've even seen it like in promo videos and stuff of magicians where they look fumbly and they look kind of nervous and anxious. I think if you don't have the confidence approaching, they're going to chew you up and spit you out, you know. So I think that's crucial, that you know kind of like who you are and what you're about to do long before you kind of get there. You know, you have to be prepared. So I think that's definitely something, because it's kind of like with hypnosis even and other things. You know, if you don't seem confident, it's not going to work. You know. So I think
the approach and stop. Joe, someone like walks up to a group and they've noticed the person coming, and then they chicken out, like dip off.
Yeah. And there's only that like small window of time where you can, you know, like that 5-10 seconds they say or whatever to like make an impression. But I think something like Audible. I remember talking to Jay Sankey before, and I remember seeing him saying it, I think, as well on some one of his lecture things, that just about springing cards or making that, you know, a sudden whatever. I think it's a very impactful thing. You're not Jimmy from the pub who does a couple of card tricks if you flick cards from hand to hand and say, well, that's all I can do with a deck of cards, put them away and do it, you know, talk to them about something else. So you can always play it off with a joke. I know people use fire wallets to get attention, but it's a bit like, look at me. It's and it's not a trick per se, you know what I mean? So I don't know. I kind of
stay things as well, like
away from it. But I just approach people now. I think I just talk to people more human than like I'm the performer, you know.
There's a lot of gimmick things, like when people go like, oh, Joe, pretend to drop a wallet on the floor, pick it up, and then you got extreme burn in there, and you go into Joe. Oh, that's weird. It's full of paper. Bang! Now it's money.
But it's cheesy in a way, and it's kind of like if you're just walking around with a fucking fire wallet, going, what the fuck is he doing? Like, okay, clearly now he's the magician or this fucking guy who bought a fire wallet in Disney. But like, you know, you're not telling them that you're a professional by just a gimmick. You know what I mean? So I think it's always good as well.
On your personality as well. Like if you're that kind of a guy who can get away with the, oh, is this your wallet? No, and that's your vibe. But like I agree. Like I like the whole thing of just like approaching the group confidently and almost like, I always say, first of all, sorry to interrupt, because you are interrupt, and like sometimes you're waiting and like you're overhearing a group while you're playing for another group. Like, oh, when they finish the story, I'll interrupt, but then someone else has started the story. So you're never going to get that quiet moment you want to interrupt. So you just gotta like go, hi, sorry to interrupt. My name is blah 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 blah.
Yeah, you have to kind of you can't fumble that. You have to go straight in, unless like there's an MC who said that you're there, or you know, it's a kind of venue that they know you're there, or you've been there earlier in the day, or whatever. You know, that you don't have to do that introduction. I find as well that if you can get everyone's attention at the very start, doing something to draw everyone in, then you don't have to introduce yourself anymore. A splash bottle is a good one for that, you know, and things like that. Where you're just like, bang, you're here. I'm going to be performing for the night. I'll see you later. You know, that kind of thing. So yeah, stuff like that can work as well.
I think engagement from them at the beginning as well, because sometimes people go up. I never like start my routine with like, here, shuffle these cards, take one, write your name on it.
Yeah,
it's like that's so much to ask someone who doesn't know if you're good yet. So
that's
no
idea.
I even find like a color change or a rub it up on it, or just something quick visual that isn't something that like their nephew does.
Absolutely, yeah. Coin on shoulder, coin under watch. They're really good, strong ones. Even a poker chip or whatever, if you want to do it with a poker chip. They're very quick visual things, and they're very fast, and they're very like, you know, it's very jazzy as well, and it works really, really well. I mean, obviously, in a mental side of the thing, you could do a very quick witch hand or something like that. You know, but
it's that thing. But even for me, like, I wouldn't even do a witch hand, because I'm like, I'm not asking you to do anything until I
yeah.
Because like if I go here, hold this and put it in one of your hands, like sometimes I might use a dice and be like, oh, just hide the number in your hand and go into it that way. But that's usually like later on in the gig where people know there's been a magician around. But I think early on, I'd always must do something that's just me doing it for you, where all you have to do is watch.
And it
it's
can
like,
be
it's
one of
such
those
a
things
low
as well.
buy-in rate.
Yeah, it can be one of those things as well where you just say it in kind of like, I'm going to show you something, an observation game. You know, it's not even a trick yet. Even if it is with a deck of cards or a coin or whatever, you're just going to say, I want to see how observant you are, and then you go into whatever. You know,
because like to go through like what I actually do when I go up, because I always think we're combating the stereotypes of magicians, and one of the biggest ones is that like you're cheesy, cocky. Joe, whenever you see a magician in a movie or something, like they're so up their own ass, it's like thing, and that's what people expect. So the first thing I do is like I'm incredibly self-deprecating when I perform, and I want people to know that I'm not taking myself seriously. I take what I do seriously, but I'm not taking myself seriously. So I always walk up to people and be like, hey, I can actually show you some magic. Do you want to see something? They go, yeah, whatever. And I'd be like, oh, I'm going to show you why nobody plays cards with me. And then I always throw in the line, it's either my skills with a deck of cards or my personality. I'm not really sure. We'll have a vote at the end. And then it's that sort of thing that like immediately I've self-deprecated myself by going like, maybe my personality is so shit, that's why nobody wants to play cards with me. But it just breaks the ice that going like, oh, this guy isn't being like, I'm the super mad person here, everyone bowed out before me. And then like throughout my act, that sort of like personality kind of goes through it and that sort of stuff. And it kind of gets people.
I've seen you do your closer because obviously we're doing the elite gigs now and we're doing gigs together. And you do have a slower pace to that, but it suits your magic because your magic is mentalism and stuff as well. You know, so your that kind of storytelling feel when you introduce yourself, it does work to people because they feel like they're getting a bit of you, who you are, before you even do anything.
It's more like I like getting like humor across that. Like I'm not a comedy magician, but I like to be funny when I'm performing. I laugh as much as I want astonishment. So it's that sort of thing where it's like if I can self-deprecate myself, and then it's also if I've self-deprecated myself, if I take the piss out of someone else, it's okay because I'm also taking the piss out of myself. And it's not like, hi guys, I am David the Great, and I'm going to show you the 17 wonders of the world. And then be like, oh, I can tell that you can't shuffle. It's like, now you're just a dick. But if I go like, oh, my personality is really I think it might be my personality why nobody wants to play cards with me. By the way, and it's like, okay, I won't get you to shuffle again. And it's like, I'm self-deprecating Joe. It's like, it works more and you're not a prick.
Yeah, you're taking the edge off it because they're already going to have, you know, a pre kind of cursor feeling that they're going to be like, oh, this guy's an ass, you know.
Yeah,
but that's magicians' fault. Like we all know those magicians. We could count fucking, you know, there's hundreds of them, and it just seems to be the way these guys are. You know, I think they hide behind these kind of like I call them dress up magicians. They're playing dress up. You know, they're just putting on a fancy suit, but they're just a kid's magician at heart, really, and they just, you know, wing it. And I think they don't have any approach. If they don't open with a fire wallet or something flashy, they don't have anything.
Yeah, I think it's the situation for me as well, is that like one thing that like I always try and tell people when I'm like talk about the self-deprecating stuff is that like, as I was saying, I take my magic seriously though, because you don't want to be like self-deprecating on your magic. Because even like whenever I do wave for people, at the end of it, when I'm like making sure it's all reset and putting it back in my pocket, I always go, that's the first time that's ever worked. That's mad. And people, so many times people go, really? And I'm like, no. And it's just like, of course, it's not the first time it's ever worked. That's why I did it. But also, it's like that really kind of like shows that they're buying into what I'm saying. So now, if I say something else, if they believe that that's the first time that's ever worked, if I tell them I'm reading their body language, they're more likely to.
I think if you use those beats as well, like you would in comedy, even on stage or whatever, when you use the beats where you talk to, so you're doing something with somebody, but you talk to somebody else. So, for example, I do that thing where I change the card to the thought of card in someone's pocket. And then when they react to it and they're like, oh my God, that's amazing, whatever, I always flip it on myself and go, yeah, you'd swear I do this for a living. It's mad, isn't it? You know, and you're talking to somebody else. You're not talking to who you're performing for. And everyone, you know, and they get a laugh off that because they can see then, obviously, you're a profession. You just change the card in someone's pocket. You know, you're not your man from the pub. You're not some guy that you meet at a wedding or whatever. They know you're a professional. You don't have to say anything else after that. You just perform, you know?
Yeah. What do you find then is like the difference from like approaching a group at a drinks reception to approaching a table?
Yeah, I think approaching a table sometimes can be a bit easier because they're sitting and you're standing, and you already have that bit of dominance, in a sense, where you can already, and you've already been milling around. They might have seen you beforehand. Like I have a corporate tomorrow night, and it's tables, so I won't be doing drinks reception. I'm just going tables. So they won't know that I'm there until I'm there, that kind of way. But I probably will do stuff to draw everyone in a couple of tables early on, get a lot of reaction, and then I won't have to introduce myself after the next table. So that's more likely what'll. That's the difference, I think. Where close up, you can, with a drinks reception, you can just approach. I think you can just approach by just introducing yourself, be polite, even shake someone's hand or whatever if you want to. You know what I mean? If you feel like it's the right corporate environment, you know what I mean? Because you're kind of portraying that you're like a specialist in what you do, so you're just, it's no different than any other business, meeting that they might have or whatever. You're just going to introduce yourself and then be like, let me show you what I do or whatever we want to do. But I never overthink it. I always just kind of like go with the moment. I don't.
What feels right. I think sometimes spotting a group is important as well, because like, especially if you're nervous at a gig, or like sometimes you might be tired, and it's like, especially like Joe, those later gigs at Christmas when you're like, this is like my many gig, and you're just like, strange. It's like finding the group of people who are having the most fun. Go to them first, because they'll pick you up. They'll probably be really into it. They'll be loud because they're being loud already, and that'll get everyone's attention. And sometimes there's a table that's like that too, because sometimes I go to an event, and before people show up, I look at the tables, I talk with the wait staff, which is something very important, or the manager, and be like, what way are the waiters or waitresses going to be working the room, and then I work the opposite to that. So if they're going to be taking orders from table 14, 13, backwards, I'm going to start performing from 1. If they're starting to take orders from 1, I'll perform from 14. So that way I can get to as many tables before I get interrupted by the wait staff. And then when they're serving the other table, I've now switched with them so that, and you can get through it that way. But sometimes I'll break the pattern if I see that there's a bunch of boring tables where I was going to start, who are being very serious and very proper. And then there's one table that's having great fun, and I'll just get them out of the way, because I know that they're going to be loud, they're going to be into it, and that'll get everyone's attention.
If it's a big room and they're on the tables, the number, I often do like an odds and evens. So I'll do like table 1, table 3, table 5, and then I'll know then that I've done all the odds, and then I'll go back and do all the evens. Just if it's a big room and you like, it's one of those ones where it should be like 2 magicians, but they've hired one. You're not going
to you get 2 tricks a table,
and as well, the booker is like adamant that you get to every table. Like it's an important gig, so you want to make sure that there's no table missing or anything, because like the table, if you miss a table, it could be the CEO, it could be the guest, it could be the guest's wife, whatever. You can't miss a table. I've heard it from promoters going, we had such and such and he missed half the tables. I was like, I don't know. Tell him to fucking learn how to count. I don't know what do you want to say?
Well, like sometimes the table can be half full because people are out smoking, people haven't sat down yet, people are at the bar or whatever. I always think it's like, if a table is less than like 70% full, I skip it and I'll come back, because you don't want to miss half the people. Like if there's only if it's a table of 10, there's 4 people there. But sometimes it's worth watching as well and like observing. Because I like walking around before I start performing, because I'm going, is this...
It's nice to have a little bit of time as well to, like, you'll always find tables that you, like, prefer to perform maybe, or the energy was good. You might want to come back and close your set with them again, do one last trick kind of thing. I was doing that show a while back in Cavan, and when I finished the gig, they started chanting one more trick, which was pretty funny, because it's like, I'd already done my one more trick, but I mean, obviously we could do like 10 more if we had to. But yeah, I went back in and did one more trick. But it was actually the one I put up online, the one with the glasses, because but everyone's energy was up. I got everyone to stand up. The show was over, but the energy was still there. Because like, if you leave them sitting at their table and stuff, they're just going to be complacent. They might take out their phone or whatever. But everyone stand up, and that trick alone, like I get a lot of interaction for that, because get everyone to stand up, get everyone to hold hands. If it's the right environment, to get them to hum and every fucking thing. So it's just it's stupid for such a a standard enough trick, but it's all the stuff around it that gets. And if you see that from the other side of the room, everyone's standing up, holding hands, humming, they're like, "What the fuck's in?"
It's like you've joined a cult. But then you can get situations where you have people like Joe. It's easy to spot the bride and groom at a wedding, and you spend a bit longer with them and do your special stuff. But at a corporate, I think it's important to find, like, number one, if you're booked by the HR person themselves, who your contact is, where are they? spend a bit longer
Yeah.
with them and really impress them.
Yeah.
And then as well, where's the CEO sitting? And like you
Yeah.
can find that out usually from the head wait staff, because
Yeah.
they've been told to serve that table.
Or just ask the HR. Like, I mean, she's gonna, like I always say, like, who's the most important people in the room? Who do you want me to really get to, you know, and impress? I mean, just ask them. You know what I mean? They'll tell you that they have John over with his wife from fucking Seattle, blah 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 blah. They'll happily tell you, you know. And
A
then
few years ago, I made the mistake without finding out how big the event was, and it was like one of those ones where it should have been probably 4 magicians, but it was over 25 tables, and I was booked for an hour and a half, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna be here for longer, because again, I was like, I'm gonna make sure I hit all the tables, because really they should hire more magicians, but it was on me to find out how big the event was, so it was actually my fuck up, not theirs. So it's like I'll go through, and then it's like the situation you have is that a lot of the tables I'm spending like 3 minutes with, which a lot of times the tables is plenty anyway, because you're hitting them between courses and you want to get as many as you can when people aren't eating.
Yeah.
So it was like I'd go up and I did all them, but then I spent like 10 minutes with the CEO table that had also the booker was on that table. And like that, they got a whole like almost like a parlor show just for them. Because then they're the ones who are going to get, everyone else had a great time, but I really need to push these over the edge.
Yeah. No, definitely. It's just coming from like pre-planning. The more you gig, the more you know, the more you just realize these things. Like going in cold is obviously hard when you're starting off, but it's so long ago now, we can't really remember. Do you know what I mean? But I remember that kind of where you're kind of like preempting, oh, will I start here? Will I start there? If you start doing that yourself, you're fucked. Just go straight in and start performing.
I think like on the table as well, it's important.
And know what you're going to do. Know what you're going to perform. Not be like, oh, remember that thing where I deal 9 cards and then you know, fuck that. Straight in with stuff.
Have your set. I think it's the thing as well. Like watch where the wait staff approach a table. Like where's the waitress standing or waiter standing when they're taking orders? Because there usually isn't like unless the tables are packed, which sometimes happens. There's sometimes an inbuilt spot that is left for the waiter and waits to be able to access the table. Especially at restaurants, but at banquet halls it can sometimes happen. So watch where they stand at tables, and then you go to that same spot because that's the optimum thing. And I think also at tables don't always stay in the same spot, because sometimes there's a big chandelier in the middle, and like sometimes people are like, oh, just move it. It's got candles on it. I'm not touching it. So it's like I'm gonna walk around the table and I'll perform for you and I'll talk to you, and then I'm like, oh, I'll be over, and then you jump over there. Or like I'll be like, oh, I need a ring. And if there's someone giving me a ring from the opposite of the table, I'll take that ring. I'll have it passed to me. I'll still perform where I was. Then I'd walk over to give it back to them and then continue performing the rest of my set from that side of the table. That way I haven't just gone like, oh, now I'll go over here. It's like I've naturally moved around the table.
Yeah.
So like you can get into all that sort of stuff as well. And like as you're saying, it is all about experience performing, but these are all like the sort of tips that we've picked up over the last like 20 years of performing. That hopefully if people listen back to the ramblings,
David Stone has great stuff on it as well in some of his books and stuff. Like it's the stuff we're talking about there, but it's just that it's just the approach, just how you're going to approach. But it is cliche enough, but I guess be yourself. Don't try to be, you know, don't try to overcompensate with, I don't know, like a weird attitude, or you know, think you're the shit because you're in a suit. Like fuck you, man. You whatever. It's a suit. Like relax. You know what I mean?
Like, you can fake confidence, but it should just be a bit of yourself.
But the suit and gimmicks and shit, that doesn't make you. You know, I that's why I call them like dress up magicians. You know, it's just it's a facade. You know, they're just like, I don't know. It annoys me because it's shit magic then as well.
It's a situation you have as well, though. Like it's alright when you go starting off to like trying to find yourself and stuff like that. But I think it's important to like do that sort of stuff at charity events and those. That's why I think charity events and like those free gigs that you do that are so handy, because it's not just about like a lot of people go like, oh, I'm going to do a charity gig or starting off for free or for expenses to get my name out there and get like some photos and footage. But it's also about like learning how to approach and how to do it well, and also how not to do it, because you're going to fuck up a lot. It's early on. And
you have to remember as well,
you're
the performer, but the guys at the table or the women and men and whatever at the table, they can be talking about multi-million business deals, and you're there with a deck of cards being a pain in the hole. You know, so you have to remember that like it's not about you. And a lot of magicians have this like weird ego because they can do a double lift. they think they're fucking the shit. Like, but it's like I don't know. It's just it's just like no, dude.
You
Like,
can feel that. Show that group we were
read
saying
the
that
room,
like there's that group you say that you spend a bit more time with because you get the vibe with them.
Yeah,
I think it's worth touching on as well the opposite of that. There's some tables or groups when you're doing walk around in any situation who you need to get away from. That you have to perform for them because you have to perform for them. If it's tables, especially, you have to perform for every table. But sometimes you get to a table and they're just like in the middle of something, or like sometimes you approach it. I've had a situation where like I approach a couple who were sitting there, and in my mind they look bored. But like as I started performing, I was like, I think they've just had a massive fight because they just weren't into each other, and I was like, finished the first trick. Like, thanks so much, enjoy the rest, and like I'm gone. So I'm not just gonna like sit there and make them both uncomfortable.
Yeah, definitely not. Yeah. No, 100%. You don't know what the environment is, especially. I think everyone's had those kind of awkward things. You got the alpha male thing too. You've got guys that are kind of a bit fucking. They might think you're trying to hit their wife or their partner or whatever, and you're just like, no, man, I'm just doing tricks. I don't know. You just
maybe I'm hitting on your wife. Like, you should be flattered.
yeah. But yeah, I don't know. I just you just have to read it, man. I just there's no, there's no one answer for any of this. It's just like when you approach a group, you have to kind of work out. It depends. Like if you approach a group and there's clearly like a guy who's really loud and he's like the head of the table, you've got to perform for him. You got to either, I won't say make a fool of him, but you've either got to put him in his place or make him start, and you have to decide which one you're going to do, because it'll either make or break that table. Yeah, but I mean, I know some guys can be very brash and stuff, and force, cards that say like fuck off and whatever. But like, I don't know. I don't know, is that the right approach? But with the right table with a lot of guys and everyone having a bit of fun, maybe. But yeah, you just have to, like people, for example, that want to shuffle the cards, just let them shuffle the cards. Let them shuffle them all day. Like, this awkward back and forth kind of a thing. I hate that.
If you're like, I can't do the trick because I have a trick set up. If they shuffle the cards, don't do a different trick.
Yeah, do a different trick.
I've had situations where someone was like, I want to shuffle after I put the card back, and I was like, okay, so I use key card. And I was like, if he splits it, okay,
happy days.
I'll do a different trick. I'll be like, your card's gone. Wait, what was your card? The 6 of spades. I'm calling that and I'm putting it in my shoe. Do you know? Like, it's but like more than likely they're not going.
But it's like comedians that can be heckled. If you've been in the trenches and you're not just in this little safe corporate world where you can float around and be all nicey nice, but if you performed in like bars and clubs and nightclubs and whatever, you've had all those experiences on the street and everything else. So like, I mean, I remember, for example, there was a guy giving me shit at an event. It was an event. It was a bar event, like, but I can't remember. I think it was for Southern Comfort. And I did a Mercury card fold. And while he was like looking for the card, I put the card on his neck. And then when he leaned up, it fell down the back of his shirt. And then I just kept it going for ages. I couldn't find it and all the rest of it. And he was like, I don't want to be impressed if that card was in the crack of my ass. And I was like, really now? Whatever. And then took the deck off and threw it. And then I said, just like reach down like the back of your shirt. It's not there. No. Reach down like to the back of your pants or whatever. And lost his mind, So I don't know. You just have to jazz.
Yeah, it's a jazz, and it's that thing as well. Like sometimes it can be better as well to try and get someone on side. But we've all had the situations where you're trying to get someone on side, like instant stooge them, the alpha, or like try and make them look a million, and they just fuck up on purpose because they're like fuck you. And then it's like, then at that point, I'm like, okay, I'll do something that I need to do something that'll like make you look stupid, or I'm just leaving. Yeah,
and you can decide, at that point,
and sometimes you can be like,
it can be a bit shit if somebody's trying to like ruin it for other people, though. That can be a bit,
You can say that as well, like, thanks, lad, I'm gonna head around. I might come back when he's gone. Okay, bye. And then it's like, if the other people want to see it, they'll come find you.
But if you have the confidence there and you're not going to shy about it, you can be like, is he always like this? Jesus, why do you even hang out with him? You can throw that. It could even be their boss, and you could say that. They're like, yeah, he never comes out with us. And like, I can see why, So, you can just be playful with it. You're not really there to offend anyone. But if you've got to nail someone down fast, you've got to do it, because like you can't jeopardize like one dickhead for like 15 people at a table.
But then it's important as well, like, to just think about who you are as a person as well. Like, if you've been like the shy, super professional guy, or like very
Oh
suave,
yeah,
clean cut, and then the guy's
you're
being a
fucked
thing,
up.
you're like, what's wrong with this prick? And everyone's like,
Yeah.
what the fuck is happening?
Yeah. Your fucking D4 fake Rolex. Yeah, fuck that.
Yeah, you just gotta have your character right. Once you know who you are, you can then respond to the situation. And then most good characters are just being yourself, but maybe like yourself on a Red Bull.
And up a little bit. Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah. I think
No,
that
hopefully that helps people. Probably will, but I mean, like it's such a random thing because it can be, every table can be different, But I think when you go to a certain point, you're like, there's nothing that could happen at this table that would shake me.
I think like if I was just to like sum up basically the overall advice, we go for drink exception. First of all, when you're approaching a group, you just have to interrupt them, break it. Sometimes if you early on, if you find a group that is in a semicircle, not a full circle, you can step in.
Who used to say they were professional interrupter? Who was that? Was that David Williamson?
Could be, I can't remember.
I think he used to say, well, he had a really funny one. I remember watching his lecture. It was like, I'm the wandering magician, and I was wondering, would you like to see it?
Oh, so bad.
So bad. But that was David Williamson.
But yeah, like if you find the people who have the most fun. Also, if you're at a drink reception and they booked you to start performing at 7, be there for 7 because that's when you've been booked for. But if people, there's 2 or 3 people arrive, don't start performing for them. It's awkward. Wait for the place to get a bit busy, and then find the people having the most fun. And then if you're doing tables, coordinate with the wait staff. You don't want to be the person who's in the way for the wait staff all the time. Talk to them beforehand. Figure out what they're doing.
You being there has to make the whole thing run smoother because you're there, not the opposite.
Your job is to kill time while they're doing their job. Because sometimes people go, God, they took the starters away fucking 20 minutes. And like if they're being entertained, like obviously you're not performing at every table, but if you can hit 3 or 4 tables each course, like that's gonna make that's your job basically, is to distract people.
Yeah. Professional.
Yeah, we're professional misdirection. So yeah, that's pretty much all the advice we have there. And that was kind of, I guess, like rough and smooth mixed in with sort of.
There was another one because when you said this to me as a topic, I was thinking of if you're doing street magic or something and you do we're just filming something, do you want to see something? And they're like, no. And that's like the real, that real fucking real stern kind of like, no, because they think you're selling something or think you're a fucking Jehovah's Witness or whatever. And there's a instinct kind of thing. You can even see like booper reels of like David Blaine going, want to see something or whatever, and they're like, no, Christ, no, what the fuck, what are you going to show me? So
sometimes you get that gig, and it's like sometimes I go up to them like, oh hi, I'm the magician, would you like to see something? They're like, no. I'm like, okay, thanks so much. If you change your mind, I'm around. And like I don't go, because sometimes people go like, Joe, don't ask because it opens the door for people to say no. But I'm like, if someone doesn't want to see magic, I'm not going to force it on them.
Yeah.
Plenty other people will.
Pick one.
Like, you're not going to leave. I have to perform for every person here. Lock the doors.
Yeah. Lock the doors. No one can leave until you get to see my 3 phases of triumph.
I have a 36 phase ambitious card routine, and you must act surprised.
Don't even joke about that, man. There's fucking loads of magicians with 30 fucking 6 phases of ambitious card. Oh my god! I saw the worst card to mouth the other day. The worst. Like the get ready was like that. And anyway, I was like,
how the fuck did that get in your mouth? Jesus!
Why would you put that up? You chose to put that up.
I didn't. It wasn't fucking me.
No, it wasn't you. But like he chose from his video reel to put that up. Like, what the fuck is wrong with these people? Anyway, that's me. Anyway,
that's name any card.
4 spades.
No. Queen of Hearts.
Sure, everyone says Queen of Hearts.
I thought you would.
I don't have the Queen of Hearts.
I have your Queen of Hearts.
Oh, no way.
Thank you. That's a new product I'm going to be selling for virtual magic shows.
Oh, what's that shit?
Oh, it was in your hat.
Oh, it was in my hat. Anyway.
This is where we start running out of shit and we get mad.
Yeah, but I think some of that would definitely help. There was some nuggets in there.
Yeah, my advice basically was like, Joe, like wash the waitresses, do all the stuff. Steve's advice was just fucking do it. If you can't do it, fuck off.
Just fucking do it, yeah. Don't take the booking if you can't fucking do it. That's pretty much it.
Do free gigs first, not just for exposure and for fucking get your name out there. Practice approaching and nights out. Approach people all the fucking time.
Yeah,
Just get used to it.
I can remember years ago when I was like a teenager. I used to go to the university, and I used to just vanish cigarettes all day to like students that were like in their 20s, and I'd be like, I don't know, I'd just say something stupid. I'd be like, oh, can I tap your fag or whatever? And they'd give you the fag, and you just vanish it. You're just like, what are you doing? It's like, I'm just trying to save people's lives, and it's just a stupid thing. But it just got that confidence up, and I was only like 15, and just stupid. But like I was approaching people in my like peers, and having a laugh with them. You know what I mean? And they were still impressed.
Approaching people on the street is harder than at a gig. So if
yeah,
you can do that, you can do the gigs.
Yeah. Or comedy clubs or whatever. Anything that's like, yeah. And it's just like we were talking about before about like when you're trying to sell a ticket for a show and you put on a show. I really think after doing all the touring and stuff last year and seeing Keith touring heavily at the moment and everything, it does. And we talked about this. It definitely separates the men from the boys because like anyone can rock up to a corporate gig and know 3 tricks and do a grand, performance. It's not groundbreaking. They won't remember your name, but like it is what it is. But like to do a show, I think, and have that, I have to sell the tickets. I got to push the show. I got to do this, and they're coming to see you when they're spending money. It's such a different thing. Such a different thing.
But you were doing that in your shit, so.
Yeah, but I'm an exception.
Yeah. You're the exception that makes the rule.
Yeah, that's it. Thanks.
Yeah. See the self-deprecating, and then I can fight back. You see it all.
Yeah. I know. I see what you're doing. You're teaching people more techniques.
Yeah.
But
I have to keep teaching by just roasting you.
Yeah. What didn't you win the fucking roasting thing of Cork or whatever?
Yeah, I'm still the roast battle champion of Cork. They had to cancel it because the quote I got from the organizer was it's getting awkward.
Looks like.
I won it.
That should be like a tagline. Like I roasted more people than Gordon Ramsay.
Yeah. That was a fun experience. But that again was stuff like I started doing comedy club stuff to get my confidence up performing, and then I ended up doing roast battles. So it's like
But anytime you opened up for the Last Magic tour and stuff, like it was always funny and engaging and interactive and all that kind of stuff. So like all that stuff, if you're into comedy or whatever, do a bit. But if you're not funny, don't try to be funny because that's fucking awful.
Yeah, that's the worst.
If it's not in you, don't force that for sure.
Yeah. I'm just fucking hilarious, so like I can do it. Do you know what I mean?
There you go. Just naturally hilarious looking. Okay.
Yeah.
Where are
like
we?
If you're as naturally good looking, charming, funny, intelligent, and incredibly skilled as a magician as I am, it's all very easy.
If you have a head like one of the Easter Island lads, mentioning no names, maybe think of something else.
Yeah, I've got a fucking giant head. I can't even wear a hat.
That's not why I'm wearing a hat.
Yeah. He's just rubbing it in because hats don't fit me.
There you go.
But yeah, I think we're just waffling on now with nonsense. So I think it's a good time to kind of like wrap it up. It's going to be like the podcasts are going to be a bit shorter time like we're going on the hour because we're just going to jump on and talk about stuff that we want to talk about. We want to talk about.
I was talking briefly though to Nick, and Nick is going to come on. He's just really busy with Chicago and everything at the moment. But once he settles and everything's good, he's going to come on and tell us all about it because he's like, I'm going to give you the scoop. I was like, yeah, I want to know. I want to know what's up.
Yeah, looking forward to it. So thanks everyone for listening, all 2 of you. We really appreciate it.
But are you talking about us?
Oh no, the 2 watchers. I can see them.
Oh, because I wasn't listening.
Yeah, we don't want to listen to them.
If anyone's in Dublin on Friday, I'm at the Pendulum Summit. So if you've got like a couple of grand spare, pop in, and we'll see you there.
Yeah, as well. And like for people, like we had a couple of people approach us shockingly at Blackpool last year and stuff. So if you do see us around, just say hi. We want to talk to people. We have no friends, mainly because Steve insults every other magician, so we end up with no friends.
90% of magicians are pricks.
And you're in the 90%.
100%. Cool, man.
Thanks so much, everyone. We'll talk to you again later. Bye.